Have you ever noticed that something as small as a change in your routine, like a new doctor, a different chair at the dinner table, or someone moving your belongings can leave you feeling unsettled? You're not alone. And more importantly, there's nothing wrong with you. As we age, the world around us doesn't slow down. In fact, it often feels like it speeds up. New technologies, new rules, new faces, new expectations. You try to keep up, but every little shift starts to feel like one more thing you have to brace yourself for. Even small adjustments, which others may find trivial, you can leave you feeling exhausted or off balance for the whole day. Maybe you've asked yourself, why does this bother me so much now? I used to be so flexible. The truth is, you're not becoming rigid. You're becoming thoughtful, protective, and yes, maybe a little weary, not because you're giving up, but because you've carried so much for so long. This video isn't here to tell you to just go with the flow or try harder to adapt. Instead, we're going to talk honestly about why change feels harder after 75, from how the brain works, to how the heart feels, to how life itself shifts around us in ways we can't always control. If any part of this feels familiar, stay with me. By the end of this video, you might just understand yourself a little better and finally feel permission to treat yourself with the gentleness you truly deserve. Some people think aging is just about the body, the aches, the slowing down, the wrinkles. But if you've lived past 75, if you know the deeper truth, it's also about change. Constant, unexpected, and often uninvited change. Doctors retire, streets get renamed, technology moves faster than your fingers can follow. Even your family's routines evolve. Grandchildren grow up, loved ones move away or pass on. And while the outside world keeps spinning, you might feel like you're being pushed to keep up with a pace that no longer fits your rhythm. You're not imagining it, the world has changed, but so have you. You've become more reflective, more selective. You no longer rush to adapt to every new trend or tool, and honestly, you shouldn't have to. Yet here's the hard part. Society doesn't always give older adults the space to adjust slowly. It assumes you'll figure it out. It forgets that change, when piled on too quickly, you can feel like losing pieces of yourself, your independence, your comfort, your voice. That's why this video matters. Because no one talks enough about how hard it really is to live in a world that keeps shifting when all you want is just a little peace. So today, we're not here to fix anything. We're here to understand what's happening in your mind, in your emotions, and in your day-to-day life when change knocks on the door at this stage of life, and more importantly, how you can face it with gentleness and self-respect instead of blame or shame. Let's start with something that's rarely talked about, but deeply felt. Your brain doesn't respond to change the way it used to. This isn't about intelligence or memory loss. It's about cognitive flexibility, the brain's ability to shift between ideas, routines, or ways of thinking. And after 75, that flexibility naturally slows down. Just like our joints become stiffer, our thinking patterns can, too. It's not your fault. It's biology. When you were younger, you may have switched plans in a moment's notice. You could adapt when a meeting was canceled, a flight was delayed, or someone asked for a last-minute favor. It wasn't always convenient, but your mind bounced back. But now, even a small change like rescheduling an appointment or learning how to use a new phone can feel like climbing a mental hill. You're not imagining that feeling. Your brain truly has to work harder to reorganize when something unexpected happens. Let's take an example. Imagine you've had the same morning routine for years. Coffee at 7, a short walk at 8, a phone call to your sister at 9. Then one day, your neighbor knocks early, wants to chat, just 15 minutes, and suddenly, your entire rhythm is thrown off. To someone else, that sounds silly, but to you, it can feel like your whole morning has been scrambled. You feel unsettled, and it lingers longer than you'd like. Why? Because routines aren't just habits, they're anchors. They give your mind structure, predictability, and peace. And when that anchor gets moved, even just slightly, your brain has to work to find a new sense of balance. Over time, this becomes more noticeable. A technology update, a detour on the way to the store, a last-minute change in your doctor's office. These aren't just little surprises. They become stressors, not because you're set in your ways, but because your brain needs more time to adjust than it used to. And here's the key. There's nothing wrong with that. Cognitive slowing is part of healthy aging. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means you've had a lifetime of learning, and your brain now prefers familiarity and flow over chaos and speed. Think of it like this. You've built mental paths over the years, comfortable, well-worn trails of thought and routine. But when you're forced to go off path, it takes more energy, more effort, more time. That's not weakness. That's experience asking for patience. So what can help? Start by giving yourself permission to move slowly through change. Build in buffers. If something new is coming up, a new caregiver, a changed schedule, even a family trip, prepare in advance. Talk it through, write it down. Let your brain rehearse it gently before it becomes real. Also, protect your routines. You don't have to be rigid, but you can be honest. If your mornings are sacred, say so. If you need quiet time after lunch, communicate that clearly. Your routines are not a sign that you're boring or stubborn. They're a form of mental self-care. And finally, ask for help when needed. Sometimes change is harder simply because no one explains it clearly. Don't hesitate to say, "Can you walk me through that again?" Slower. Or, "Can you write that down for me?" That's not forgetting. That's wisdom. You've earned the right to approach change on your own terms and to move at the pace that honors your brain, your body, and your story. One of the most unsettling parts of growing older is losing control over things you used to manage with ease. You might not notice it at first. A family member starts scheduling your appointments. A neighbor offers to handle your shopping. A nurse reminds you when to take your medication. It's all meant to help, and often it does help. But over time, it can start to feel like decisions are being made for you, not with you. That shift from being the one in charge to being the one consulted is subtle at first, but powerful. And when something changes suddenly, without your input, it can leave you feeling helpless, confused, or even angry. At this stage in life, many older adults deeply value structure and predictability. And that's not stubbornness, that's survival. Predictability offers safety. When your body changes daily and the outside world feels foreign, a familiar routine becomes an anchor in the storm. So what happens when that routine is disrupted without warning? Let's say your doctor suddenly retires and the new one treats you like a chart, not a person. Or your daughter rearranges your kitchen to make it easier, but now you can't find a thing. Or your caregiver changes the bathing schedule because it works better for them, not for you. These changes, though practical, chip away at your sense of control. And when that happens repeatedly, it can lead to resistance. Not because you refuse to adapt, but because your voice wasn't heard. Your needs weren't considered. It's not the change that hurts most. It's the feeling of being left out of your own life. This is why many older adults say, "I just want to do things my way." It's not about fighting change, it's about holding on to dignity. Because once you lose the right to choose, even in small ways, you start to feel invisible. And here's the truth, you've spent a lifetime being responsible, leading others, making decisions. That role doesn't just disappear with age. It's still part of who you are. So how do you face change without losing that core part of yourself? Start with communication. Let your loved ones know that you value structure and that sudden changes can make you feel overwhelmed. Use simple phrases like, "I'd like to be part of that decision," Can you check with me first next time? This routine helps me feel grounded. Next, create small areas of control in your day. Even choosing what to wear, when to eat, or how to organize your space can restore your confidence. These may seem like little things, but they're powerful reminders that your preferences matter. Also, ask to be informed in advance when changes are coming. For example, if someone else is coming to help me this week, please let me know the day before. If the schedule is changing, I'd like a written copy. This allows your brain and emotions time to adjust on your terms. And finally, remind yourself, needing support doesn't mean losing authority. You can accept help without giving up your say. You can adapt to change without abandoning your sense of self. Yes, life after Femocalfierds brings many shifts, but that doesn't mean you have to sit quietly while others steer the ship. You still have the right to guide your life slowly, carefully, and with your hands gently on the wheel. One of the hidden reasons change becomes harder as we grow older is something no one likes to talk about: grief and the emotional fatigue that quietly comes with it. You don't have to be crying or mourning openly to be grieving. Grief isn't just about losing a loved one. It's also about losing familiarity, roles, rhythms, places, abilities. Maybe you no longer drive, or your best friend passed away, or your children move far away, or your hands don't work like they used to. One by one, these little losses stack up, and while you carry them with grace, they still weigh something. After a while, even small changes can feel like one more thing you're being asked to absorb when, deep down, you're already carrying so much. That's emotional fatigue, and it's real. Your heart, just like your body, can get tired of adjusting, tired of saying goodbye, tired of pretending you're fine when, in truth, you're still missing the life you had, or the people you loved, or the version of you that felt stronger. So when someone says, it's just a new phone, or it's just a new schedule, they may not understand that, for you, it's not just about the thing that's changing. It's about what that change might be replacing or reminding you of. A new phone might remind you that your hands aren't as steady. A new schedule might make you realize how few calls you get now. A different caregiver might bring back memories of someone who used to be there and no longer is. These aren't just changes. They're echoes of loss, and the heart remembers them, even if the world moves on quickly. That's why many older adults avoid change, not because they can't handle it, but because they're emotionally exhausted. It's like trying to fill your cup when there's barely anything left in it. So what can help? First, acknowledge the grief. You don't have to hide it, rush it, or explain it away. Just saying, "This is hard for me," is enough. You are allowed to feel sadness, frustration, or hesitation. That's not weakness. That's being human. Second, talk about it. Whether it's with a friend, a family member, or someone you trust, speak the unspoken. You can say, "I'm not just tired. I think I'm grieving things I didn't even notice before. I've lost so many familiar things. It's catching up with me." Every little change feels heavier these days. Saying these things out loud doesn't make you a burden. In fact, it may help others understand you more and treat you with the tenderness you deserve. Third, slow down the pace of change. If something new is coming, a move, a medical procedure, even just a change in your home, allow yourself time to adjust emotionally, not just logistically. Grief doesn't like being rushed, neither do older hearts. Lastly, find ways to honor what you've lost. You can keep photos nearby, tell stories, light a candle, write a note to someone you miss. These rituals don't fix the pain, but they give it a place so it doesn't spill into every new thing that comes your way. Because here's the truth, change is never just change when you've lived a long life. It comes with memories, with layers, with emotions most people don't see, But that doesn't mean you have to carry it alone. You can move slowly, you can ask for understanding, and you can trust that your heart, though tired, is still worthy of care, space, and gentle healing. As we grow older, one of the quietest and most painful changes is the shrinking of our social circle. Friends move away, some pass on, children become busy with lives of their own. People stop calling as often. The house that was once full of noise and conversation can slowly become quiet, too quiet. You might still have people who love you deeply, but let's be honest, there are fewer people to talk to, fewer invitations to accept, and fewer reasons to get up and go. This loss of connection doesn't just affect your social life, it impacts your motivation to adapt to change. When you were younger, you had reasons to adapt. People were counting on you. You were part of something, a job, a family, a community group. If things changed, you changed with them because you had to. Now, things are different. You might look at a new technology or a change in your neighborhood and think, why bother? Who am I doing this for? This isn't laziness, it's loneliness. It's not that you can't learn or adapt, it's that without social encouragement, you might not feel the purpose behind trying anymore. Let's say your doctor's office switches to an online appointment system. If no one is around to help you figure it out, and if you don't talk to many people during the week, it can feel pointless or even defeating to try. Or maybe your children suggest you move to a new place to be safer, but if you already feel isolated, the thought of adjusting to another new environment alone feels exhausting. This is how shrinking social circles quietly affect your ability to cope with change. Because change doesn't feel hopeful when it's happening in isolation. Human beings are wired for connection. We don't just adapt better when we feel supported, we're more willing to adapt when we feel seen, included, and encouraged. So what can help? First, find ways to reconnect, even in small ways. You don't need a big social life to feel connected. A short phone call, a neighbor waving hello, joining a simple group like a walking club, a book circle, or even a local church gathering can rekindle that sense of belonging. Second, talk to your loved ones about what you need emotionally, not just physically. I'd love it if you called me once a week. It would help me a lot if someone could come with me when I try something new. Third, give yourself small reasons to care again. New recipe, new phone, send a photo to your grandkids. Change, tied to connection, feels meaningful. Finally, you are not less important. Your voice still matters. Change easier when not alone. New chapters and new people. If you're ready, as you grow older, something inside you begins to shift. In your younger years, life was loud. There were appointments to keep, jobs to do, people to care for, and decisions to make. It was go, constantly solving problems, adjusting, showing up. You didn't have much of a choice. Life demanded your attention, and so did everyone around you. But now you find yourself craving something completely different: peace, stillness, and simplicity, not because you've given up, not because you're disconnected from life, but because, after all these years, you've come to realize what truly matters. You no longer feel the need to chase the newest gadget, follow the latest trend, or prove yourself to anyone. What you want is comfort, safety, and quiet. This deep desire for peace, though wise and beautiful, is one reason why change can feel especially difficult after 75. Because most changes, even small ones, come with disruption. There's noise, confusion, new things to learn, decisions to make. And when your soul finally begins to settle, even the tiniest ripple can feel like someone disturbing your still waters. Take something simple, like a TV remote that suddenly stops working. Years ago, you would have figured it out in 5 minutes. But now, The idea of calling tech support, navigating menus, and asking for help feels exhausting, not just annoying, because it's one more thing disrupting the calm you work so hard to create. Or your daughter suggests a phone upgrade. She means, well, she wants to help. But in your mind, if you're thinking, why do I need more apps, more updates, more buttons? It's not about being stuck in your ways. It's about protecting your peace. Over the years, you've learned that simplicity doesn't mean missing out, it means enough. It means knowing where everything is, trusting your daily routine, sitting in the same chair that supports your back just right, listening to the radio station that plays songs from your youth. So when change enters that quiet space, even with the best intentions, it can feel like someone rearranged the furniture in your mind. Unsettling, unnecessary. This doesn't mean you're against change altogether. It simply means you want to choose what's worth your energy and let go of what isn't. The truth is, your deep desire for peace isn't a sign of weakness. It's wisdom. After a lifetime of keeping up, adjusting, compromising, you've earned the right to slow down, to choose calm over chaos, familiarity over pressure, simplicity over noise. So how can you honor this part of yourself and still face the changes life brings? First, let peace guide your choices. When someone suggests a change, ask yourself, will this make my life simpler or more complicated? Is this something I truly need, or just something someone else thinks I should have? You don't need to say yes to every update or suggestion. You can choose stillness over constant adjustment. Second, communicate with those around you. Sometimes your family or caregivers may not understand unless you explain. You might say, I'm not against this change, but I need time to prepare. Too many changes at once make me feel off balance. I prefer to keep things simple. It helps me stay grounded. Third, create an environment that supports your peace. Clear the clutter. Stick to gentle routines. Surround yourself with familiar things. Let your space reflect the calm you're cultivating inside. And finally, remind yourself, it's okay to want a slower life. It's okay to say no to what doesn't serve your spirit. It's okay to protect your quiet like a precious garden. Because in that quiet, you breathe better, you think more clearly, and you reconnect with the most important voice in your life, your own. If you've been feeling that change is harder than it used to be, please know this. You are not broken, you are not behind, and you are certainly not alone. The way you feel is not a flaw in your character, it's a reflection of a life richly lived, a life full of roles, responsibilities, emotions, and experiences. Of course, change feels heavier now. You've already carried so much. It's completely normal for older adults to prefer stability. It's okay if you find comfort in your routines, your familiar surroundings, your quiet moments. That doesn't make you rigid, it makes you human. You've spent decades adapting to the needs of others. Now, it's your turn to be heard, to slow down, to move at a pace that feels gentle and right for you. Wanting peace, wanting simplicity, wanting time to process, these are not weaknesses. They are signs of wisdom and self-respect. So the next time you struggle with a new change, take a deep breath and remind yourself, there's nothing wrong with me. My rhythm is just different now, and that's okay. Change is hard not because you're failing, but because your heart has learned what really matters. You're not resisting change. You're choosing what feels right, and that's not stubbornness, that's clarity. Whatever you're navigating, a shift in your routine, your health, your relationships, you deserve kindness, patience, and understanding from others. Yes, but also from yourself. Change is part of life. But after Femukhalfjords, it often feels more emotional and more challenging. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means you've lived long enough to understand the value of peace, the comfort of routine, and the right to choose what truly matters to you. Every reason we've explored emotional fatigue, shrinking social circles, mental weariness, and the longing for simplicity all point to the same message: you've earned the right to slow down and be selective. You don't have to keep up with every new thing. You don't need to explain why you prefer the familiar. You can take your time. Change doesn't have to be big or fast. Even small steps, taken at your own pace, are powerful. So the next time you're facing something new, pause and ask yourself, does this feel right for me? Am I ready? Your pace is valid, your preferences are important, and your voice still matters, maybe now more than ever. If this message spoke to you today, even just a little, I hope you walk away with a lighter heart. Change may never feel easy, especially in this chapter of life, but you are not behind. You are not failing. You are simply growing at your own pace, and that is something to be proud of. You've earned the right to choose what works for you, to protect your peace, and to ask for understanding instead of pressure. That's not resistance, that's wisdom. If this video helped you feel seen or understood, I invite you to do something gentle in return. Maybe share this with a friend who might be feeling the same. Or leave a comment with your thoughts, even just one sentence about your own experience. You never know who might feel comforted by your words. And if you'd like more videos like this, soft conversations, real reflections, and gentle guidance for senior life, feel free to subscribe. This space is here for you. No rush, no pressure, just stories and reminders that you're not alone. Because here's what I truly believe. Even in a world that moves too fast, there's still room for those of us who choose to move gently. In your way, your timing, your rhythm is just as valuable as anyone else's. Until next time, take care of your heart. Speak kindly to yourself. And remember, change doesn't need to be big to be meaningful.